Welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. I'm James, that is Scott, for you who do not know. Today's video is looking at the race for the top four and the top seven. We actually did this video about a month ago, but we had some sound issues. We actually uploaded it to YouTube, but it was so bad we deleted it because we care about our fans. What can we say? Guys, if you watched our last video, which we looked at the title race in Spain, which is really hotting up, you might notice I'm wearing the same shirt. I do have a lot of clothes, but we're recording it in the same day. So I just want to say that in case you think I've only got like 3 outfits.
I'm wearing the same too.
Are you wearing the same jacket? Yeah. So just a disclaimer, we do have a lot of clothes, but, you know, we like to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Time management, something to do with time management. You can fit the pieces together. Guys, hit that subscribe button if you don't know who we are. We are Wolves fans that have been for all our lives, but we do general football. Watch our videos for the next few weeks. If you don't think the content's for you, you can always subscribe, but I'm sure once you're a fan of Sweet and Sour Soccer, you're never going to leave, I'm telling you.
Definitely.
Yeah, Scott, we're looking at the top 4 races today, and of course the top 7. Very, very interesting. There's one of 6 teams that are battling it out. More competition for top 7 than top 4, let's say.
Yeah, definitely. I think you probably agree that obviously City are going to win the title. United, they're pretty safe as well. So it's kind of a battle for those last 2 spots. And then the battle for really, when you're looking at it now, you're probably going to say there's only, there's I guess 6 teams fighting for those last 4 European spots, isn't there now?
Yeah, you've got to fancy Leicester. However, their running is awful. If you're a Leicester fan watching this, and I'm sure you're nervous anyway, but you're running. You've got Newcastle at the weekend, and then you've got Chelsea left, Tottenham, and Manu.
United, isn't it? Yeah, they've got United as well, which I suppose it's one of them. If they do make it into the top 4, then they're going to have deserved it. I'm just looking, quick look. They're currently... they've currently got 5 points in the bag, haven't they?
Yeah, you've got to think if they beat Newcastle, they're pretty much there, because Chelsea have still got to play Tottenham. Chelsea have got Man City this weekend.
Yeah.
West Ham have got a favourable run-in, and we'll come on to West Ham very shortly. But would you agree if Leicester beat Newcastle at the weekend, Newcastle are now safe, you'd say? So...
I fancy Leicester to pick up the win, and then I'd probably also say that, they probably maybe need 1 more point, but apart from that, I think it will probably see them over the line, and you'd fancy them to at least pick up 1 win in the last 3. So, I don't think they're going to do what they did last year when it looked like Naulon that they were going to get the Champions League football, and obviously they had to settle for Europa. So, I fancy them to get over the line, really, for that one. So the question remains, who's going to get that 4th spot?
Do you know what? I mean, I'm just as comfortable with saying Chelsea are going to get top 4 as Leicester, because what a job Tuchel's done. Just, I think they've conceded 8 league goals since he's been there. This guy didn't come in March. This guy's been here for like 3.5, 4 months now. 8 league goals. 5 of them were against West Brom in 1 game. I've got to say, I think those 4 that we see there now, sorry any West Ham fans watching, but I think it's Chelsea and Leicester.
I don't think it is. I think there's a bit more competition actually still to go, in my personal opinion. And one of the reasons, obviously City have probably already won the title, but Chelsea have got to face City. Do you reckon there's going to be a bit of a psychological battle there for City to go and win this one with some intent? Because obviously, they kind of, how it's looking with the Champions League final, obviously we'll find that out this week, but it could be, at the time of releasing this, it could be City-Chelsea final, couldn't it? So,
I mean, that would be You've got to remember that also Chelsea knocked Man City out of the FA Cup. Would that have any bearing? Would they want some retribution? I don't know. I'm just looking at it. I can't look past Chelsea. I must be honest. I know we're saying this is a top four race, and you've got a different opinion. I'm sure there's Tottenham fans even out there, Liverpool fans and West Ham fans that won't agree with me. There's a lot to play for. Don't get me wrong in this league, and if this in 2 games' time, this table could look very different. But if I had to put my money on it, I'd say Leicester and Chelsea. I must be honest. I don't think even Liverpool. They do have a game in hand, and if they win that, they go to 57 points. Then they're only 4 points behind Chelsea. But I don't know.
I think Chelsea are going to be the favourites to get that top 4 spot, and I think you're spot on there, especially with Tuchel at the wheel. You can see why. But one thing that West Ham do for having the favour is that those fixtures. You know, you look at their remaining fixtures, it's not impossible. You wouldn't put it past them the way they're playing at the moment to go and pick up 12 points.
No, I mean, their games include Brighton, West Brom, Southampton. You've got to think that they could get 12 points out of 12. And if they did do that, I would fancy them to get top 4, because you've got to think Leicester are going to drop points against at least one team of Chelsea, Man U, and Tottenham. You know, I can't see Leicester winning all 4. They could. They're a good team, but I don't see that happening. If you had to put your money on it for the top 4, would you say West Ham would get in, considering their running? They're only a win behind Chelsea, although their goal difference is considerably worse than Leicester and Chelsea.
I think, you know, you look at Chelsea's remaining games, they've got City, they've got Arsenal. Obviously, it's not the same Arsenal from maybe a few years ago. They've got Leicester to face, which is going to be the big one there. And then the final game of the season against Aston Villa, who arguably aren't going to have anything to play for. So
no, that is the game, isn't it?
West Ham, for me, they could do it, but I think they're going to need at least 10 points, and it wouldn't surprise me if they need the full 12. I think they can't afford to lose the game for the rest of the season if they are going to make the top 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'd go with that as well. What I'm really hoping for is a neutral. I mean, I've got no stake in any of these horses, but if West Ham were to win their next 2 games, you've got to think May 20th, Chelsea versus Leicester, the penultimate game of the season. It's reminiscent of that famous Chelsea-Liverpool last game of the season in 2003. I think it was 2003, yeah. The £50 million game, as they called it. I mean, what a game that will be. Chelsea-Leicester, May 20th. And if that could be the game, whoever wins that gets into the top 4. And we haven't had it's not many times that it works out like that, is it? No,
definitely not. I mean, if you're not tipping them for the top 4, I'm guessing you are thinking that West Ham will at least get Europa, and there's not going to be any shock that they'll fall as low as 8th in the table at this late stage.
You've got to think so. I mean, if Liverpool win their game in hand,
as good as it perhaps looks. When you have a look at Liverpool and Everton, they win both their games in hand. Liverpool will be just 1 point behind West Ham. Everton would only be 3 points behind them.
Yeah, so there is still a lot to play for. Let's cap off the lowest team who you think won't enter at least the top 7 for Europa League, and then we can talk about the teams left. Arsenal are sitting in 9th, 49 points. They've got no games in hand. And if we're going to talk about Arsenal, we have to talk about Villa. They're only a point behind Arsenal with a game in hand. If Villa win their game in hand and they move on to 51, I think if you talk about Arsenal, you've got to talk about Villa, but I don't think we should be talking about either, personally.
I probably wouldn't give either of them much chance. But I think a lot of it, as you say, it comes down to how Liverpool and Everton do in their games in hand, because if both of them manage to slip up and it's in fact Villa that get the win, they're then only sitting they'll be sitting 3 points behind 7th. So then with 4 games to go, because it'll be 4 games all those teams will have to play, can you really write them off fully? But having said that, I don't see both Liverpool and Everton slipping up and not getting a point out of that game. So I feel like Villa will probably, they will miss out. And I also think, Arsenal, obviously, they've actually got one game less than Liverpool and Everton, so I don't really see them catching either. And I don't think Arsenal fans do. Arsenal fans are very, if we want to get Europe, we've got to win the Europa League, is how Arsenal fans are looking at it. So for me, it comes down to from 8th upwards.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I will just clarify, because it seems to change every year. I mean, I've watched football for 20 years, give or take. And I mean, to be honest, a lot of the time, I don't know how you qualify for things at international or club level. But because Man City won the League Cup and the FA Cup final is between Leicester and Chelsea, both teams in Europe, there can't be any odd finish where Wolves finished 7th last year, didn't get Europe because Arsenal won the FA Cup. There's none of that. It is just a top 7.
Yeah, and I think one other thing to clarify here is it's kind of snuck up, hasn't it? It was announced, but no one really took too much notice of it at the start of last season. Of course, 7th place will now be playing in the Europa League Conference, which is that new format, which is apparently to get more teams in Europe having a go. So, I mean, people laugh at the Europa League as a second
48 teams, am I right? 48 teams, is that what it is now?
I can't really remember. I just know that now there's going to be the Europa League and then there's going to be the Europa League Conference.
But it's not. Is it a completely separate competition, or is it's still tied in with the Europa League, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong?
I believe it's a completely different competition, the way I read it. But
is it? Oh, right. Oh, I thought it was somehow intertwined with the Europa League, sort of.
I could be wrong, but I thought it was a completely different competition.
I stand by my comment then. I've got no idea how it works anymore, honestly.
It gets more and more confusing, doesn't it? And I think there's going to be more Champions League changes, which is a joke. But I suppose moving back onto those, I suppose it's important to say who do we think will finish 7th, and then
let's talk about Tottenham. We've spoke about the teams above them. We've spoke about Villa, Everton, Liverpool below them, and Arsenal. Tottenham in that middle ground. They're in 6th on 56 points. They've got no game in hands. Their running isn't the most difficult of the European chasing teams, but it's not as easy as West Ham's, as you pointed out. So their next game is Leeds. You never know what you're going to get with Leeds. It is at Ellen Road, though, so that might be something to keep in mind. They then play at home against Wolves. I mean, as Wolves fans, you just never know. With that one, we could turn up and give them a game, but you'd fancy Spurs. They then go to, they're at home again to Villa, and then they end the season with that big game against Leicester. So they've got 4 games, one against Leicester, a great team. But then they play 3 teams that you never know what you're going to get. Wolves, Villa, Leeds. They could easily...
The key with that is there's no easy game there, is there? And as you say...
There's no West Brom, there's no Sheffield United, there's no team like that,
Yeah, which is an interesting one. Obviously, Ryan Mason in charge, to be fair to him, he's been doing a pretty good job. I do feel, at this close stage of the season, are the likes of Klopp and the Ancelottis, who have just got bags full of experience, going to be able to get, Everton and Liverpool over the line into Europe? And will it actually be Spurs that miss out? You could see that happen. But I read a stat today. Apparently that Kane, Son and Bale as a trio only need 3 more goals and assists to become the greatest Premier League trio ever.
What? So, do you mean like 3 goal involvements between?
That's it, for goals and assists. If you combine that trio as a 3, I think the past, I think it was Van Nistelrooy, Rooney and Berbatov or something like that was the former or the current one, if you say.
No, not Van. Oh, you mean Tevez, Ronaldo, Rooney?
Sorry, it would have been that. Yeah.
Not Van Nistelrooy.
That's the current one.
I would have thought it would have been like Suarez, Sterling, Sturridge, or one of the Man City trios, surely, or Salah, Mane. Is that the trio? Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo. Wow, you wouldn't have thought that. I mean, Harry Kane's done a lot of that. What's he on? Like 18 goals, 16 assists, or something like that. Bale hit a hat-trick, didn't he?
I think he's now up to over 10 goals and assists. Obviously, Son having a very good season as well.
you've just got to think if they had a defence, they should be challenging for the title. Let's be honest. If they had a defence, if they had that Walker, Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen back line, you'd fancy them challenging. But yeah, Tottenham. I don't know. Tottenham aren't getting top four. Let's be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. Forget Tottenham. If you are watching and you're a Tottenham fan, I'm sorry, but nah, you are going to be playing Europa League football next season.
I'm going to stick my neck out here. I think it's Tottenham that miss out, and I think it's Everton and Liverpool that will get into the Europe places.
Oh, you don't even think they'll get Europe?
I don't. I think the inexperience of Ryan Mason will probably might cost them, and I think it'll be Liverpool and Everton that might get over the line. I've just got a feeling that Everton will do it. I think Liverpool definitely will. So I think it comes down to Tottenham and Everton.
Sorry to cut you off, but Liverpool's running. So they play Southampton in the next game. They then go to West Brom. Okay. Burnley. Okay.
9 points.
And then finish against Palace at home. You've got to fancy... Liverpool could be looking at... Liverpool are unbeaten in 5 games. They've drawn the last 2. That's a problem. They've picked up 11 points out of their last 15. 3 wins and 2 draws. 54 points. If they win their game in hand, 57. We've already mentioned it. They're then 4 points off.
Suppose the game in hand is against United, though, so not going to be an easy one. It's a derby, so... Good
point. United could be in the Europa League final. Well, they will be in the Europa League final. So depending on when that game is fixtured in, Ollie will probably give a lot more credence to the Europa League than that fixture, with it being a derby, obviously. But no, could Liverpool sneak top 4, in your opinion? Those fixtures? I'll be honest. That's the first time I looked at it.
Well, they are along. They're only, as you say, if they're the winner, they win the game in hand. They're only 1 point off West Ham, and we're saying West Ham have a chance. So surely Liverpool do too. But I think for Liverpool, they are going to have to win every single game for the rest of the season. But
I think they need 4 wins and a draw, don't they? Or at least 4 wins. If they get 12 more points and finish on 60. Actually, no, yeah, you're right.
I think they need all of them. I think for Liverpool to make the top 4, I think they need, if Liverpool win all their games in all the remaining games, it's still probably just about achievable. But for me, I think they'll probably finish in that Europa League spot this year. I mean, to finish off, who do you think is going to be the one to miss out completely then out of those 8? Are you thinking Everton?
I just haven't seen enough from Everton. I don't know. They'll put in a great performance. I think they got a 2-2 draw, a 3-3 draw at United at Old Trafford this season. We've seen them put in some good performances. Away at Tottenham, I think it was the second game of the season, 1-1-0. I think it was a Rodriguez goal. But then they'll go and draw to West Brom or draw to Wolves, who are shit. You know what I mean? I don't trust Everton.
Maybe the inconsistency will cost them.
The inconsistency. What are Everton's running? West Ham. Oh, okay. They play West Ham on Sunday. That's a big game.
Yeah.
That's a big game. Then they play Villa. Big game. Sheffield United. You fancy them against Sheffield United. And then they play Wolves. They finish off the season against Man City. For me, it's Everton who miss out. Just by looking at that there, the inconsistency.
Can I change my mind now?
After looking at those fixtures, I'm kind of glad I said Everton and then looked at the fixtures.
I think you're probably right there. It will be Everton to miss out, and it'll be Tottenham Spurs that make it.
I think so. I think when you're looking at Tottenham's front 3, as you mentioned, I think they've got enough firepower to get in the top 7. I think it's Everton to miss out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's it. So, I mean, guys, if you made it this far, let us know in the comments. Let us know what your top 4 is, what your top 7 is. Who do you think will miss out? Are we being a bit unfair? Would you give either Villa or Arsenal a chance? Mate, I'd be surprised if anyone does that isn't a Villa or Arsenal fan. But yeah, please do let us know in the comments. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll see you on the next one.